I know after a long, hard day of sitting in my gaming chair, eating salty snacks, and not doing any push ups, I need a nice, cool way to relax. There's only one way to do that: cracking open a nice, cold can of Cheers. Get out your tinfoil hats. It's almost time for Daytona 500 pole qualifying, and there have certainly been some red flags over the years that there may be some sneaky Scooby-Doo style mysteries going on behind the scenes when it comes to pole qualifying for the Daytona 500. So we're going to put our tinfoil hats on today, and we are going to look at the drivers who are most likely in nutty conspiracy land to be on the pole for Sunday's or next Sunday's Daytona 500. Let's get into it. And here we go. So this video is definitely not 100% serious if you've already taken the hint, but just to make absolutely sure that you guys know what's going on here in this video, we're going to adorn the old tinfoil hat for real. Oh yeah, we're going here. So yeah, there are going to be a couple of drivers on this list that will have a legitimate shot in any kind of legitimate capacity of qualifying on the Daytona 500 front row. I think it's really, there are a lot of drivers that are popular and would have good stories that I think will have strong cars for this race. But there are a few that when I kind of posed this on Twitter earlier today, I kind of sat there and scratched my chin and I said, yeah, I could see that. So let's get into it. Let's get one of the obvious ones out of the way first. Bubba Wallace. Oh boy, Bubba Wallace. If there's anything that I think pisses off a certain segment of the population, believe me, I read my comments, it's Bubba Wallace. There is a very, he is, I would say, I wouldn't necessarily call him like a wrestling heel, but at the same time, I think he definitely has, he has mainstream attention. And past the mainstream attention, obviously we know what happened in the summer, you've also got a new team coming into the sport owned by Michael Jordan, who is red hot right now coming off of the Last Dance documentary. He's as mainstream as he's ever been. Bubba Wallace is mainstream. And oh, by the way, this is a Toyota car, this is a Joe Gibbs car, and it's a car that's partially owned by Denny Hamlin. So you got a lot of stories going in there. The car, honestly, now we're going to take the tinfoil hat off for just a second so I can say this. Bubba Wallace, like it or not, he is a legitimate contender for the Daytona 500 this year. The Toyota power plants, they're good, especially they're good in the race. They're usually not quite as good in qualifying, which is why I would probably rank this Cinderella story a little bit lower as to happening if all things are, of course, equal. At the same time, I feel like you have a chance to do a Danica kind of thing here where Bubba on the pole, you're going to have a lot of headlines. And with all the other drivers on this list, save for one, and we're about to get to him, you're probably not going to have these headlines. And at least where Bubba Wallace is concerned, in the media, they are going to be positive headlines. So if we've got our tinfoil hat on, Bubba Wallace would be the number one choice to get the Daytona 500 pole. Kyle Larson. Oh boy, yes. It's not a Larson video, so we don't get the intro. But, yeah, Kyle Larson would be one that I would look at. I think he could be a legitimate pole sitter. We know the Hendrick cars are extremely fast. Now, whether it's rigged or not, it could end up happening. And there are going to be some headlines that NASCAR may have to deal with. I mean, ultimately, this is going to be the guy who said the N-word. Now, the question, I suppose, would be, is putting him on the Daytona 500 pole, or him getting on the Daytona 500 pole, may be a way to just kind of get it out of the way early and just be able to get past that first kind of media backlash. Because let's say he goes out and wins the race without qualifying in the pole, you're going to have all those headlines. So, from a cynic's perspective, you almost mitigate some of the damage that may be done with early Kyle Larson success by just having him qualify on the pole, have his headlines out there for the first week, and then once you get to the race, maybe things will calm down a little bit. But I certainly could see Kyle Larson being a pole sitter just because of that Hendrick power underneath him, and that'll be very interesting to see if it does happen. Now, of course, he's got a lot of teammates, and then one I would kind of rank next behind Bubba and Kyle would be NASCAR champion Chase Elliott. And Elliott has won the pole before. He's really driving at a high level at the moment, so I would not put it past Chase Elliott one bit to be on the pole position. And that would be a nice, easy, safe one, again, if we've got our tinfoil hat on, to say have a feel-good story on the pole position. Your most marketable guy, the guy who moves your most merchandise, bada bing, bada boom. Now, there are a couple, of course, other Hendrick drivers, and I think the other one I would rank kind of high, especially because he's had success in the past, is Alex Bowman. There's some important things here. Taking over the 48 car from Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was a big story last year. He's got Ally Bank sponsorship. This is a new driver in the Ally Bank car. Ally Bank, big sponsor. Would make a lot of sense if he's on the pole position. And he's also done it in the past, which would make me think, once you kind of take the tinfoil hat off, that I think that if you're looking at it from that perspective, I think legitimately Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott would be the two I would kind of look at, and maybe a couple more as we get further down here, but for sure. And then I guess we'll talk about William Byron really quick, which is he's done it before. From a storyline perspective, there's not a whole lot going into this year. So, again, tinfoil hat on, I'm not thinking that it would be William Byron. Tinfoil hat off, I think you could throw a dart at any of the Hendrick Motorsports powered cars, and you've probably got a pole sitter in there somewhere. Ryan Newman. Oh, Ryan Newman, yeah. So if we're talking about a feel-good story, and this is probably less feel-good now that, of course, the fall race, he was already there. His injuries didn't keep him out of the seat for quite as long as maybe we thought it would, especially with the coronavirus shutdown. But Ryan Newman returning to the Daytona 500 and qualifying on the pole, you want to talk about a Cinderella story, that would certainly be one. I don't think I really need to say much more than that. And he was fast last year. Let's not forget, the reason he got in that crash last year was he was running at the front of the field. So there's a certain distinct possibility that Ryan Newman will be right in the thick of things once again at the Daytona 500. Speaking of in the thick of things, Denny Hamlin, defending winner of the race. I don't know if I need to go much further in that. I guess if you really wanted to go conspiracy nut, maybe you put Denny on the pole and have Bubba on the outside, and then you get to talk about how great Denny is, not only as the Daytona 500 champion, but for bringing this new team together with Michael Jordan and Bubba Wallace. Maybe that's the route you go. But of course, that is discounting the reality possibility, which is that it's probably going to be a Hendrick car. So let's talk about Hendrick-powered cars anyway. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., former pole sitter, or the defending pole sitter of the Daytona 500. And a lot of people said, oh, there's no conspiracy this year because who likes Stenhouse? And then I thought about it, and I think I posted about this on my community tab at the time, was, do you know who the sponsor of pole qualifying is? And who the sponsor of Ricky Stenhouse was last year? It was Kroger. Tinfoil hat just got 2 times tighter. But again, Stenhouse is fast on the plate tracks. He's fast with Hendrick power, and he did it last year. Virtually the same package as last year. I think you've got to expect that he would be very quick. Here's another story time guy who, again, it's a maybe, but Daniel Suarez. Why not? New Trackhouse Racing Team, Chevrolet Power. There's a couple of check marks there. Association with Pitbull, a celebrity who's going to be fairly closely associated with NASCAR this year, outside of the fact that he's part owner in a team now. And, of course, Suarez missed the race last year in the duels. So you've got a lot of factors there that may be working for Daniel Suarez. And I would say, again, this is a tinfoil one. If you got the tinfoil hat on, he would be an outside possibility for a feel-good pole sitter. Now, I want to finish with this. I'm going to read a tweet, because when I posted the tweet, of course, I was kind of shit posting. It was memeing, but I got a really legitimate and smart answer. I almost want to take off the... I don't want to take it off, but I almost want to take off the hat for this, because Talking in Circles on Twitter said this: Preece, open teams will focus on qualifying more than race form. Preece with an HMS engine, Hendrick Motorsports, will be fast. And that is a huge brain take, because if you think about it, there's going to be more cars qualifying or attempting to qualify for the Daytona 500 that may end up being trying to qualify for a very, very long time. And a lot of strong teams too. Not only do you have Preece, who's an open car with Hendrick power, you have a Penske car with Cindric, you have a Ganassi car with Jamie McMurray. There are a lot of strong cars that are going to have to qualify for this race, and the best way to guarantee that you're going to be in the field is not have to race in the duels. We've seen cars in recent years, while it's very much not prevalent anymore, have put on full qualifying setups. I'm reminded of Reed Sorensen a couple of years ago at Talladega getting into the second round of qualifying because the team just absolutely taped everything shut, and he ran faster than everybody else in the first round, and then in the second round he fell off because the car was overheated. But regardless, the Daytona 500 qualifying is a little bit different, I think. I don't remember if they still do 2 rounds or not. If they do 2 rounds, then it's going to be a little bit tougher for a guy like Ryan Preece to be able to do that. But if they trim that car out to the point where it's just slightly faster than his teammate Stenhouse, that's a way they can guarantee that car is in the field. And to me, that seems like a legitimately good take, and makes me take off my tinfoil hat to ye. Well, what a video this was. I hope you've enjoyed it. I promise the rest of the Daytona 500 content will be a little less, well, maybe not. Maybe not. Well, we're going to keep this tinfoil hat for this whole weekend, or this whole week leading up to the Daytona 500, just in case. But we're going to try to be lighthearted, have some fun with the coverage of the Daytona 500, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsport content, and we'll see you in the next video.